News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
4:05 now, in for Bill Walter. I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU News Update. It's brought to you by Wheatland Seed. Well, current plans for construction of the new Logan Library do not include a citywide property tax increase. According to Library Director Karen Clark, the funding for the new Logan Library is already in place. The original plan was to increase the library levy to allow for a $4 million interfund loan. City Director of Finance Richard Anderson had explained previously to the City Council that loan was to be in addition to a previous $4 million interfund loan and other capital funds already allocated to the library project. However, in previous discussions with the City Council, Anderson had estimated that the increase to the library levy would have been about $16.94 per year for the average home in the city. Anderson added, though, that after the budget process this past May and June, he felt that they could take an additional $1 million from the library reserves generated over the past more than 2 years and then reprioritize the timing of general capital projects to allocate an additional $3 million of capital funds, thus avoiding a library property tax increase. Construction of the new library is expected to begin in March of next year. Well, the Pocatello, Idaho Temple is opening its doors to visitors. We'll have that on the way in just a minute. First, that weather forecast, as we have some smoke and haze this afternoon. Otherwise, temperatures have been in the high 70s. Tonight, we're going to drop into the high 40s. And then more clear skies tomorrow, but still with more smoke and haze continuing through the rest of the week, as tomorrow will be in the low 80s, stay in the low 80s for Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, but then some cooler temperatures coming with a chance of showers Sunday night into Monday. Well, top leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are beginning tours of the Pocatello, Idaho Temple. The open house runs most days through Saturday, October 23rd, except for Sundays. Church spokesperson Irene Casso said that Elder Gary E. Stevenson of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, along with Elder S. Gifford Nielsen, who is serving as the president of the North American Central Area, and other leaders are hosting tours and media appearances for invited guests. The public, meanwhile, is invited to begin touring the temple beginning next week. Elder Nielsen said the open house is a chance for anyone to tour the temple and learn about its importance to church members.
This is an opportunity for all the saints here to be great neighbors in normal and natural ways, to just reach out and love those around them and invite them to help them understand what the temple is all about.
The temple sits high on the eastern foothills of Pocatello. Get more on these and other stories at CashValleyDaily.com. In for Bill Walter, I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU News Update.
Want to improve the look and comfort of your home? See all the possibilities at UNI Furniture. Update your mattress and sleep better tonight on a Therapeutic Queen Comfort Top mattress for $4.99. UNI is also a full-line Maloof dealer. Add a Maloof adjustable base, 4 style choices there. In UNI's dining room section, lots of different brands with something always new to see. One popular set with a table and 4 chairs, $6.49. And for the family or living room, all kinds of fun new sofa loves and sectionals. If it's in stock or it's in the showroom, it's ready to take home. There's always a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
Jessup Insurance would like to invite you to a friendly, no-pressure, no-cost educational Medicare 101 meeting, Wednesday, September 15th. Get to know Jessup Insurance as they guide you through Medicare, simplifying the entire process, all while eating a yummy dessert. Wednesday, 7 p.m., September 15th at Jessup Insurance. Call 213-3200. That's 213-3200 to reserve a seat.
Jessup Insurance and Retirement Services. Let us guide you.
Meet me downtown. Meet me in downtown Logan.
Hi, this is Shawnee Arby with Cache Valley Bank. We love supporting local events, and we are proud to support the Logan City Top of Utah Marathon, coming to downtown Logan on Saturday, September 18th. Cache Valley Bank invites everyone to meet us in downtown Logan to run, cheer, or volunteer at the Logan City Marathon on September 18th. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Meet me downtown. Meet me in downtown Logan.
The most beloved musical of all time is coming to the Ellen Eccles Theater. September 17th through the 25th, Music Theater West presents The Sound of Music. Bring the whole family and share in an evening of the music you love and the story you'll never forget. This timeless Rodgers and Hammerstein classic will warm your heart and leave you singing. Tickets are on sale now at musictheaterwest.org. Don't miss The Sound of Music, September 17th through 25th.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Tuesday, September 14th. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter, still out, will be out this entire week. So any misplaced beeps, mics not turned on, scratchy sounds, things like that, it's not Bill's fault. It's because we're trying to fill his shoes while he's gone. Bill, if you're out there listening, we miss you. Can't wait for you to be back. For listeners, we've got a big show planned for you today. Something that you've probably never heard of, but I think one of the coolest things that happens in Utah, because it literally puts high school students in Utah on an international stage, literally, with an opportunity to talk with everyone from members of the State Department to peers in other countries, leaders here in the U.S. and abroad. And it all happens through the Utah Council of Citizen Diplomacy. UtahDiplomacy.org is their website. And they've just announced that the application process for the Youth Diplomat Program has opened. This program starts in October, and it is open and available to any and all Utah high school students. The commitments aren't huge, a meeting every other week, which can include, yes, conversations with members of the State Department, conversations with leaders visiting Utah from other countries, including most recently a consulate from Mexico. The lieutenant governor was highlighting, had a chance to meet with members of this youth council. It's a statewide program. It's available to any and all high school students. That's the only requirement. You have to be a high school student in Utah. That does include homeschooling, either those temporarily homeschooling or those permanently homeschooling, and even public charter schools. So it's an amazing program. We'll be speaking with the youth program manager, Vincent Dawson, coming up at 5 o'clock, and joining him in this same interview, a high school student from Utah County, Sophia Detchen. That's coming up at 5 o'clock today, so be sure to stay tuned for that. This hour, we'll be speaking with the mayor of River Heights. A couple of months ago, we asked listeners to, if they ever had something that their city was doing that they were proud of, excited about, or just thought deserved some attention in a positive way. We asked that they let us know. Well, we got a tip last week from a woman who says she's a lifelong resident. I'm just going home. Can't talk today. Lifelong resident of Cache Valley and River Heights. And she says that she wanted us to reach out to city planners and talk about the things they've done over the last couple of years to keep the community tied together, fun events and other creative things that River Heights has been doing at a time when, obviously throughout most of 2020 and probably right now, considering where the numbers are at again here in Utah when it comes to COVID-19, this case, the Delta variant, last year, the original virus, people are feeling more distant or even feeling like they should be more distant to protect themselves, to protect loved ones who are vulnerable. And even with vaccine rates high throughout Utah, here in Cache Valley, not so high, that does present risk. And so people are still taking that very seriously. Listener says River Heights has gone above and beyond to keep a sense of community alive through some fun in-person events outdoors, but also through some creative uses of social media, etc. So we're speaking with Mayor Rasmussen of River Heights later on this hour to talk about how they're doing all this. So Speaking of COVID-19 and the Delta variant, news today, a couple of different fronts on this that I would say are sort of signs of things to come. That's how I would put it. The first is a statewide story broken by the Salt Lake Tribune earlier today. The Utah Department of Health launched a color-coded dashboard for parents who have been, just absolutely frustrated at trying to get news about their kids' school, about stories of an announcement from a school. I don't think this was in Cache Valley. This was in Davis County. Somewhere in Davis County, a parent actually posted the letter, and the letter said, hey, your child was likely exposed 8 days ago to someone with COVID-19. Obviously, at that point, getting a letter like that is an absolute, not only waste of time for the district, but also absolutely useless for the parent. So a lot of questions about this, how this is being managed here in Utah, the legislature's plan that put this all in place, overriding the governor, pressure on the legislator from mayors from Salt Lake City to the mayor of Blanding, of all places, saying, get it together, Utah lawmakers, your plan is not working. This report from the Salt Lake Tribune today reinforces that idea. Basically what it is, an investigative report by the Tribune showing that one of the challenges for the Utah Department of Health in reporting this to parents, something that the legislators who designed this plan said was key, that they'd be able to let parents know and therefore test to stay and contact tracing and all of that would help keep cases down. Well, this report from the Tribune shows that not only is it not working, it can't work. Parents are refusing to talk to the state to aid the contact tracing. So the color-coded dashboard the state is using, the letters going out to parents to let them know if there's been exposure in the classroom. There's absolutely no reason for anyone to think for or against the accuracy. And so it's a big guessing game. Is it working? Is it actually telling us anything? Dr. Leah Nolan, the state's current epidemiologist, she took the place of Dr. Angela Dunn after Dunn moved on to from the state to director of the Salt Lake County Health Department. Dr. Nolan took her spot there on the coronavirus task force. And she said without accurate information about the number of cases, schools are operating blind. She said when they should actually be initiating testing of all students. So the legislature's plan has certain thresholds. We're currently well above those thresholds. Those thresholds should have brought back certain restrictions, including possibly mask mandates in schools. The legislature has not acted on their own plan at this point, even though we're well above the thresholds they themselves set for doing so, and have said repeatedly, the state leaders in the House and the Senate have said repeatedly, our plan is well designed. Well, some big questions about that now. Dr. Nolan said, as far as we know, there are schools out there that should be initiating testing of all students because of the amount of spread within the school. The problem is we don't know that. We have hints and suggestions that that's probably the case, but we can't rely on the data. So this is a pretty big problem. The dashboard is available still at coronavirus.utah.gov, but after this report from the Salt Lake Tribune, the governor's office said it is time for state leaders, including the legislature, to sit down and figure this out, a new plan. This is, I don't know what to say about this. I haven't actually looked at the dashboard to see how it changes, but the report from the Tribune shows, again, that there's evidence based on numbers coming out of schools after the fact that the warning systems, the flagging systems, the mechanisms the legislature designed that should have created at certain schools a test every student policy once a certain threshold was hit. We're only finding out about that after the fact. So the plan isn't actually working the way it's even designed. We'll see where this goes. Lawmakers in the governor's office are expected to meet again this week. Here on the local front, here in Cache Valley, again in the category of, I would say, signs of things to come, The Cache Valley Center for the Arts announced today new COVID-19 protocols for their upcoming shows as part of the national touring season. We've talked about these on Thursdays with Charlie Schill of CacheValleyDaily.com. They have a lot of very cool things from the Moth main stage to this airplay event happening now. It's just really cool to see some of the video from that on their website. But a lot of other things coming. We spoke last week about the Sound of Music. Now that's happening through Theater West, so not sure what if they have an announcement about protocols coming. The Cache Valley Center for the Arts announced today that in effect immediately, considering the high rate of spread here in Cache Valley and concern over the venue and things like that there at the Eccles Theater, what they're doing is instituting basically you have two choices to get in. You will either need proof of a negative test within a certain amount of time from the event, proof of full vaccination. That will be required to enter the theater, and face coverings, masks, will be required inside the theater at all times during the event. So again, at the Eccles Theater, policy announced today, official policy going forward for the upcoming Moth main stage performance. Attendees will be required to present either a negative COVID-19 test that was conducted, I believe, within a few days, and a proof of full vaccination. And then again, masks will be required inside at all times. So full story on this, including a rundown of this upcoming event that they're hoping to keep people safe and keep people showing up for the Moth main stage, in the story by Charlie Schill at CacheValleyDaily.com. I've linked to that on our Facebook page as well, if you'd like to read it there. Story from the Salt Lake Tribune I talked about, also linked on the Facebook page. And we'll see where this goes. Again, Utah leaders, the governor's office, the Senate and House leadership expected to sit down, I think, on Thursday, possibly Wednesday, and talk about this. So we'll see where it all goes. But some concerning news about the effectiveness of the legislature's model for keeping tabs on how things are going in the schools. Again, Salt Lake Tribune investigation basically proving that the data isn't reliable. The schools, the state, they really, in a lot of areas, don't have a full picture of how much spread of the Delta variant there actually is in the schools. And again, cases of parents posting letters from schools letting them know their child was exposed 8 days previous, which is an absolutely useless letter to get. Yeah, don't know what else to say. KVN News for the People continues right after this.
Want to get a hot and perfect body fast? Just eat lots of bananas, but peels only. And always be sweating, but never look sweaty. That's disgusting.
Don't follow extreme routines. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness. Join now through September 16th for just $1 down and get back to a real routine with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join today for $1 down, $10 a month, and cancel anytime. Deal ends September 16th.
Offer ends soon. Sign up at planetfitness.com or in club at 981 South Main.
See club for details.
Advanced Heating and AC is honored to be named gold medalist for the best of Northern Utah in the AC HVAC category. They were named silver medalist for place to work and remodeler contractor. They thank you for your votes of confidence in their company. You have many choices when it comes to your home's heating and air conditioning system. Make sure you choose the gold medal winning company, Advanced Heating and AC. Call 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
Pristine wilderness can still be found in the West, where creeks run freely and historic apple trees still bear fruit. Maple Creek Ranch features breathtaking canyon views and opportunities for real estate development. 2.5-acre lots are now available with adjacent wilderness areas that provide endless riding and recreational possibilities. So find your piece of paradise just 35 minutes from Logan at Maple Creek Ranch. Schedule your appointment online at maplecreekranch.net.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. Tracking Nicholas as the storm soaks the Gulf Coast in Texas and Louisiana. Also, Secretary of State Antony Blinken with more Afghanistan testimony on Capitol Hill. Plus, will the costly California recall election lead to adjustments in how these efforts are conducted? Here, proposed rule changes and the latest classroom nuisance for teachers. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Sometimes it seems like there's so much news and every story kind of so in your face and urgent that I don't know if others out there listening feel this way. Maybe it's something specific to being here for a few hours each day, surrounded by the KVNU and CashValleyDaily.com newsroom. But I feel like this is maybe something affecting everybody. But it seems like, there's this one big thing, and then we move on. That's forgotten. And there's this next big thing. As I opened the show today, COVID-19 and the Delta variant really making a big comeback for weeks now. The spread in Utah has actually been as bad as it's ever been. But it's like no one knows that. I think part of that is fatigue. Previous to this, we spent most of the summer talking about the drought as things start to cool as we head, especially next week, by the way, although it doesn't mean the warm summer temperatures are necessarily over. Some long-term forecasts are saying we might be looking at the warmest October on record here in Utah and throughout the West. We'll see if that is the case. But next week, it's definitely supposed to be fall-like with Monday's temperatures. I don't even think we're forecasted to break 70 this coming up Monday. This week, though, we're in the high 80s. Salt Lake, I think, almost hits 90 sometime this week. So it should be pretty warm here in Cache Valley as well. So the drought's still a thing. Many cities in Cache Valley, for those who've been asking, do have, they haven't relaxed their restrictions. The restrictions have been pretty mild, though, this summer here in Cache Valley. We haven't had to deal with massive restrictions on water usage other than the general request statewide from the governor's office and then backed up by most cities that we keep watering to a couple times a week at most. The lawns can handle that, especially this time of year. In fact, this time of year, and with some of the rain we've gotten, you can probably go down to once a week for the lawn. Trees and shrubs need a bit more than that. It's more efficient to spot water with sprinklers and things like that and hoses than to use a sprinkler system. So that's basically the case. Several cities here in the valley, including Clarkston, by the way, who run on a system a tank-based water system that needs to be replenished by springs or other intake. They've asked residents to also restrict the times that they water in some very specific ways. Clarkston, for example, they're asking people not to water at all outside between noon and 5 p.m., I think, and then again between midnight and 4 a.m. No watering outside at all in order to keep those tanks refilling on a regular basis. Earlier in the summer, Hyde Park was very concerned that their tanks would actually run dry because they were getting close to it multiple days of the week. The restrictions put in place in response to that are still in place. They're, again, asking residents to really watch their outdoor water usage. As things cool, you don't need to water as much, so we could probably actually step things down a little more and have things still stay green. But that is still the case. We're still in a drought situation, even though those temperatures have dropped a bit and will definitely, as I say, drop next week quite a bit. The drought conditions still exist. Several reservoirs that dried up through the summer still dry around the state. And this news out of southeastern Idaho, I don't remember, I honestly can't remember the last time this happened, but the Idaho Department of Fish and Game issued, effective September 8th is when this started, the Idaho Fish and Game issued a salvage order for the Johnson Reservoir. This is just outside of Preston, there in Franklin County. And salvage orders have already been issued for two others, Condi and Winder reservoirs in Idaho. Johnson Reservoir will become so low over the next several weeks as irrigation demands, especially for agriculture, continue, that the Idaho Department of Fish and Game says the fish at this reservoir will not survive. The water levels will become so low that then the water becomes unsuitable, and the fish die a slow and if you've ever seen it, awful to watch death. So salvage orders are used in those situations. Basically to say, maximize public use of these fish. They're going to die anyway. Let's get them out of there, and at least in that case, they're going to human consumption, things like that. So during the salvage order timeline at Johnson Reservoir, fish may be taken by any method except firearms, explosives, chemicals, or electric current. So nets, poles, dropping a big cooler in the water to get them out, all of that stuff you can do. Just no firearms, explosives, chemicals, or electric current. The bags as well. Possession limits are entirely suspended there at the Johnson Reservoir. One thing that is still required, you do still need a valid Idaho fishing license. So valid Idaho fishing license still required, but possession limits and bag sizes and things like that, all completely suspended now. If anyone out there listening, our listeners there in the Preston area, if you need more information about the salvage order, contact Idaho Fish and Game directly. Their Southeast Region office in Pocatello can be reached at 208-232-4703. But again, just a reminder that the drought is still a thing, even though temperatures have cooled, even though things have greened up quite a bit on their own with the rain we've received recently and the cooling temperatures. We're still in a drought situation, and this is the latest sign. So again, for our listeners there in southeastern Idaho, valid Idaho fishing license still required, but all possession limits, bag sizes, things like that are suspended at this time at the Johnson Reservoir. They're actually asking Idaho residents to help them take the fish out. The fish are going to die anyway, as reservoir levels are going to, in the next few weeks, reach what's determined to be an unsuitable, unsustainable level for the fish. Basically, it gets so low that the silt and things like that, things that are normally floating in the water, are so concentrated that the fish can't breathe. Temperatures rise because the water is so low to create water temperatures that are unhealthy for the fish. Disease can break out. One of the concerns in this situation, by the way, is that if disease does break out in a reservoir like this, the disease can actually affect future fish populations. So even if they repopulate the reservoir, if there is a certain disease that breaks out because waters have warmed too much and water levels have gotten too low, that can actually ruin the fishing in the reservoir for multiple years in the future. So the hope is that they can get most, if not all, of the fish in the reservoir going to public use. And so, again, suspension of all possession limits, suspension of bag sizes, all methods of getting the fish out are acceptable at this point, except firearms, explosives, chemicals, or electric current. So poles, nets, things like that. And again, this announcement came just late last week, but reported today by Franklin County and Preston City, again asking residents there, effective September 8th and running until October 31st. That's when this salvage order expires, telling residents there. And again, this has already taken place in Condi and Winder reservoirs, a bit north of there already. So Johnson Reservoir, just the latest. And again, the latest reminder with this fish salvage order that we're still in the midst of a pretty aggressive drought. So coming up again later on in the show, we'll be speaking with representatives of the Utah Citizen Council, including a Utah high school student, to tell her story of what it's been like for a year and a half as a member of the Youth Council for Diplomacy. This is an organization that gives high school students here in Utah the opportunity to get to know members of the State Department, get to know international leaders and peers from other countries. And they're inviting every high school student to submit an application for their Youth Council program. which has opened, and that application period runs until the first week of October. We'll be speaking with them in hour 2. Mayor of River Heights joining us this hour. Listener-requested topic again. A listener said we'd asked several months ago for people to send these stories in. If your city's doing something that is of praise for, let us know. Listener emailed and said, I'm a lifelong resident of River Heights. Over the last couple of years, despite the challenges with social distancing and concern over the pandemic, COVID-19, and now the Delta variant, River Heights has gotten very creative at keeping a sense of community alive. So we'll be speaking with Mayor Rasmussen of River Heights later on this hour on the show. First, though, right now, step aside for a look at the local headlines with KVNU's Will Philwright.
Thank you, Jason. The news this hour brought to you by CBD7. A 25-year-old Smithfield man and former student teacher has pleaded guilty to sharing child pornography over the internet. Caden J. Strong accepted a plea deal and will now wait to be sentenced. Strong appeared in First District Court yesterday afternoon. He confessed to 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor, a second-degree felony. Now, as part of the plea deal, prosecutors dropped 2 remaining charges. Strong was originally arrested back in April after Logan City police officers received a cyber tip. It explained how he had been using a popular messaging app to download and share illegal material. Investigators tracked the child pornography to an IP address in Smithfield where Strong lived. Investigators report that the material that Strong was sharing was not of local children. Now, during yesterday's hearing, Strong spoke briefly, explaining that he was willing to waive his right to a fair trial. Judge Angela Fonsbeck accepted Strong's plea deal and ordered him to be sentenced October 25th, when he could face up to 15 years in prison. Well, a small plane was forced to make an emergency landing on a small rural road in Davis County yesterday morning. Davis County Dispatch confirmed to Fox 13 that there was an emergency landing of a plane near Legacy Highway and 500 South at around 11:40 a.m. The pilot from Idaho was trying to land at Sky Park when he heard a loud noise and decided to land on the frontage road. Police report that there were not any injuries. And a tragic story in Idaho Falls where a man died and at least 4 students had to be hospitalized after a school bus and a pickup truck collided near Idaho Falls. The Bonneville County Sheriff's Office said the collision happened at around 8 a.m. yesterday morning when the driver of the pickup truck failed to yield at a stop sign and the bus was unable to avoid the collision. The crash caused the bus to overturn on its side. The driver of the truck was found dead at the scene, and 4 Idaho Falls high school and middle school students were taken by ambulance to the hospital. Luckily, none of them with life-threatening injuries. Well, that weather forecast, smoke and haze continuing through the rest of the afternoon as we've had sunny skies today. Temperatures have been in the high 70s. Tonight we'll drop into the high 40s. Then tomorrow a little warmer as we'll be into the low 80s for Wednesday's high. Stay in the low 80s through the rest of the week. And then some cooler weather coming for the end of the weekend as a chance of some showers begins Sunday night. Temperatures going to begin to drop. Monday's highs expected to be only around the mid-60s. I'm Will Philwright for KVNU News.
This is Becky Johnson from Edward Jones, bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of financial advisor Mike Arnold. While the sharp price pressures will likely continue to moderate over the coming months, materials and labor shortages are likely to persist for the remainder of this year, keeping wage growth and inflation at higher levels than experienced over the past decade. A survey by the National Federation of Independent Business released today showed that a record half of small businesses indicate they cannot find qualified applicants to fill certain jobs. At the same time, supply chain disruptions are proving to be more persistent than initially thought, limiting how fast the economy can normalize. These headwinds, together with a potential slowdown in consumer spending caused by the spread of the COVID-19 variant, could drive some increased volatility in the market, but are likely to prove temporary. U.S. equities closed lower today. The Dow Jones was down 292 points at 34,578. The Nasdaq closed down 68 points at 15,038, and the S&P closed down 26 points at 4,443. In stocks of local interest, Autoliv was down $1.03 at 87.55. Chevron was down $1.77 at 96.20. Dominion Energy was down 39 cents at 76.15. Home Depot was down $2.33 at $333.12. Kroger's was down $1.09 at $41.79. Lowe's was down $1.88 at $204.17. McDonald's was down 8 cents at $241.13. Microsoft was up $2.80 at $299.79. Nucor was down $3 at $106.20. Philip Morris was down 63 cents at $101.96. R.R. Donnelley was down 17 cents at $4.19. And Walmart was down 76 cents at $144.30. This has been today's financial report brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Mike Arnold, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 135 North Main in Logan, Suite 102. If you'd like additional information, please contact our office at 753-2915. Daily commentary can also be located on our website at edwardjones.com.
Hey, get prepared for the hunting season. Did you remember to bring your hunting gear, your sleeping bags, and coats into Mount Logan Laundry? With their 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers, they can do any job. And while you're at it, bring in the comforters and blankets and get ready for the colder months ahead. Try Mount Logan Laundry. For a few quarters, you can use their large-capacity washers and dryers and be done in no time. Free Wi-Fi and drop-off service. They're at the corner of 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham on the corner of 1st East and 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town.
Hey, it's Al Lewis. We all know buttons make our lives easier. But if you have sleep apnea and can't use CPAP, did you know there's a button that can help you go from this to this? It's called Inspire. It's a small device that works inside your body with just the click of a remote. That's right, a button. If you struggle with CPAP, great sleep awaits at InspireSleep.com. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you. And review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
Hi, this is Danny Hansen, manager of the Cache Valley Bank Smithfield branch.
And I'm Daryl Simmons, business development officer at Cache Valley Bank.
In celebration of our second anniversary being in Smithfield, we would like to invite you and your family to our anniversary celebration on the evening of September 15th.
We will have food and prizes at our Smithfield location, 10 North Main in Smithfield.
The party will begin immediately after the Skyview Homecoming Parade.
Come celebrate with us and learn what an account at Cache Valley Bank can do for you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
I'll be honest, fellas, it was sounding great, but I could have used a little more cowbell.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. In just a few minutes, we'll be joined by River Heights Mayor Todd Rasmussen. We asked listeners a couple of months ago to send in stories if their city was doing something that they deserved a thumbs up for, and we'd spotlight it on the show. A lifelong resident of River Heights emailed last week to say that during the pandemic and here in 2021 as well, River Heights has been very creative about keeping the community together, and she thought that deserved some attention, some kudos. So Mayor Todd Rasmussen, joining us in just a bit. Before that, comedy fans got some bad news today. Saturday Night Live fans especially, as that's where he made his name. But news today that comedian Norm Macdonald, passed away at a very young age. Norm Macdonald was 61, died at the age of 61. Very iconic comedian, very deadpan delivery, memorable voice, and known for one of his bits, one of his routines that he would do. He was known for being able to tell these long, rambling jokes that were oftentimes not very funny, but make them compelling, make them have the audience glued to his story, even though it was just this rambling story. So, sad news today. Norm Macdonald also made his name during the 90s as one of the fake anchors of the Saturday Night Live show, who just made O.J. Simpson his constant target for jokes for a long time, and he actually wrote a book about that experience. So in memoriam of comedian Norm Macdonald passing away, at age of 61. Here is one of, we won't play the whole thing. Here's a setup for one of Norm Macdonald's most iconic moments. This on the Conan O'Brien Show, most memorable moments.
Not all your material comes from the news. Is that right?
No, some of my material my strongest material comes from real life.
Real life?
Like, for instance, today I was driving in a car. You were kind enough to bring a car to bring this old chunk of coal here to the studio.
We send cars for our guests, yes.
Yeah, so I got in it, and that's, I get material that way. So my driver...
What do you mean? How do you get material that way? You get in the car, and what happens?
My driver tells me a joke.
That setup led to one of the most watched videos from the Conan O'Brien Show in history. It has over 7 million views on YouTube. McDonald proceeded then to launch into what is known as the moth joke. It's not a very funny joke. It took McDonald so long to tell the joke that the actual joke was never aired. He told this joke throughout 2 segments on the show. His time then ran out, and they had to move on to another guest. And he had to finish the joke for the audience after they'd finished filming the episode. And it's worth seeing, the entire 7-minute-long video of the actual telling of the joke. Norm Macdonald, again, dead at age 61. That news announced this morning, broken by Variety after his family sent a letter and said that Norm will be missed. Some of his most iconic moments collected by Variety and a bunch of YouTube clips. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. On the other side, River Heights Mayor Todd Rasmussen joining us to talk about how the city has kept the sense of community alive, even during a pandemic. That's coming up right after this here on For the People.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
NMLS 1817019.
Got a rate over 2.9%? There's a falsehood that you should only refi if you can cut your rate by 1%. The truth is, lowering your rate by just 0.25% and making the same payment you make right now can cut years off your mortgage, saving you tens of thousands in interest. LendRight Mortgage will show you exactly how much you will save by cutting your rate by only 0.25%. Pay zero closing costs with our Freedom Loan. If your rate is over 2.9%, be smart. Stop wasting money. Lock a 30-year rate as low as 2.25% or a 15 at only 1.75%. APR 2.45 and 1.96 respectively. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com. For rates in the ones, call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com.
At Wheatland Seed, we believe in providing our customers real food for a better life. Foods that are powerfully nutritious and that connect you to the natural world. Foods that give you peace of mind, knowing they were grown by family farmers, most in northern Utah and Idaho. Knowing your food storage is carefully packed with a resealable Mylar liner, providing a shelf life up to 25 years. And knowing your foods have been lab tested to verify they are pure and chemical-free. At Wheatland Seed, we love what we do, serving our customers real food for a better life. Our fall stock-up sale is going on now. For best prices, order online with store pickup at wheatlandseed.com. That's wheatlandseed.com.
If you're a business, hiring seems to be a concern now and in the future. Plan on attending the Cache Valley Media Group's Job Fair Thursday, September 23rd at Castle Manor in Hyde Park from 11 to 6. By attending the Job Fair, you can talk with hundreds of potential employees looking for work or changing careers. Call 752-1390.
That's 752-1390.
Or go to CacheValleyDaily.com to get involved in the Thursday, September 23rd Job Fair at Castle Manor in Hyde Park. Presented by the Cache Valley Media Group.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. I'm Jason Williams. With only about 10 minutes left in the hour, we're going to jump right back in here with a very special guest. So a few months ago, we asked listeners to email us any tips if there was something their city was doing that they deserve praise for, if there was something happening in your city that you felt was worth some kudos. Send us a tip, and we'll spotlight it here on the show. Well, a resident of River Heights who described herself as a lifelong resident said that River Heights City, throughout the pandemic last year, and I guess it's still going on here this year, throughout 2021 as well, had been really creative at keeping a sense of community together, even as people were being careful about being together. She spotlighted in her email the recent festival-like setting outdoors of Apple Days, but she also said the city has done a lot through social media and other avenues to just, well, keep the community together, both news-wise, but also just, so they can all interact and have fun. So we reached out. Joining us right now, Mayor of River Heights City, Todd Rasmussen. And Mayor Rasmussen, appreciate you taking some time for KVNU today for something we like to do on the show, which is talk about something positive for a change.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's great to have an unsolicited plug from a resident, especially saying, what the city's doing deserves some kudos. How has the city been doing it? This has been a challenge, right? To keep a sense of community alive when for the last couple of years we've been told, maybe don't get together so much. You guys have managed to do it, though.
It has. It's a big challenge. But I really have to, say the people that I work with are very creative. They're invested just like I am in making sure that people remain unified and together. And one of the ways we did that is just trying to get different ideas about how do we keep this sense of community, but yet maybe not gather together like we have in the past. And so some of the things that came out of that were going to the residents. Instead of having the residents congregate in city space, let's go to the resident space.
That's amazing.
And, different parades, ways to reach out, and just so the residents feel like they're connected with their government, and that we care and that we know who they are. And that's really been great, and people have really had a positive experience. Like you mentioned, it's great to hear people unsolicited come, and I've got the same comments many times from different residents that they just really enjoy what's been happening.
It really is, a testament to these efforts, happening throughout the state, throughout the valley, to hear from residents saying, it's great what the city's doing. This is keeping the community together. It's difficult to talk about it. So here you are. You're an elected official. You're the mayor of the city, but. And something we've picked up on over the show, having a chance to talk with elected officials left and right for so many years, a sense of community is key to city business, right? From city planning to just being able to make the city work on a day-by-day basis. That sense of community is necessary, right?
It is, and it probably comes into play two different ways. Number one, so that they feel attached and that they can communicate their concerns, that they're heard. That really moves policy along in a way that involves the residents. I've often said, when we sit there in council, if nobody's there in the council meeting, being very honest with you, I can feel myself moving toward an autocratic type government where we really don't need the citizens and we move ahead with decisions. And all it takes is one person to enter that room, and that sense of accountability and responsibility comes back with a real soberness that makes us want to engage again. And so that sense of community is essential in any government, so they feel like we're accountable to them, and we feel like we're engaged enough to know what's going on at home and what kind of policies will affect the residents in a real way. And the second way, I think, that sense of community is just keeping people unified. That's the one thing I noticed during the pandemic is people started to divide, and I've tried to reach out in a way to hopefully bring people together in common values, common goals, just being decent and honest and moral people in a way that keeps us unified and together, even though we don't agree all the time, but at least we have those common beliefs and common goals.
Sure. That's, nothing brings everyone together, I think, more so than, I joke about this all the time, we've got so much energy for presidential elections, we've got so much energy for national news, and then when it comes to our cities, sometimes we run out of energy. But that's really where the rubber meets the road, where decisions are made that affect your life more immediately, and without a sense of community, without feeling like we're all members of a city, that can really, as you said, take some negative turns. So it's great to hear from residents in River Heights saying the city has done an amazing job of keeping the sense of community alive, even at challenging times. And Mayor Rasmussen, it struck me several times throughout the last couple of years. Not that there's ever a good time to have a pandemic, right? But this
Right.
came along at a time when every city in the valley is facing so many challenges, almost all of them tied to growth and the changes that come with that. Has that been particularly challenging as River Heights plans for the future to of course, make sure the information is getting out there, that people are showing up for public hearings? A bit of a challenge, right?
It is, but interestingly enough, it's also been good for us because we really haven't gathered, at least in a council setting, with these electronic resources we have now, particularly for us, Zoom. So we've had more citizen involvement during the pandemic than we did the first 2 years of my term with no electronics. So in some ways, it's actually benefited us as a city. People have felt like they had a way to be more connected from home. So, the new administration is going to have to figure out, is that going to be a regular part of how they engage the community, or are there different ways to kind of use that technology to help move that engagement? So, yeah, difficult, but also very beneficial, I think, at least for our city.
That's are there things that you feel from your experience as mayor, or talking with council members, that will stick around? After all this is, fingers crossed, behind us one day. Are there things the city picked up that you're thinking, wow, we should keep doing this type of thing?
I think so. I think one thing we've learned is, getting up to date with reaching out to people electronically. I mentioned Zoom, but there are many other ways that citizens have been engaged that we probably haven't done as well in the past, and social media, other ways that we need to continue to explore. But the other thing is just staying creative and staying relevant in the activities that we have. Council member Gallup, she's one of our council members. She's just done an amazing job. And just an example, here a couple of weeks ago, we had family night out, and the residents rode around as families on their bicycles, and we had 3 or 4 different stops in the city that really showcased some local businesses. Zollinger's Tree Farm had some cider, had a local bakery, and families just rode their bikes by and visited with some of the people in the city, and some of our volunteer staff picked up a free treat and rode around the city. And so I hope that those who stick around will continue to use what we've already done and build on that, and continue to be agile, be growing and thinking and staying relevant and connected.
It's amazing stuff, and you make it sound so simple, but it really isn't. So, hats off to all of you there. As you said, Mayor, it takes a team to pull this off, to keep people connected in those ways, to encourage them to be a part of it. And residents out there listening, whether you're in River Heights, whether you're in Mendon, as Mayor Rasmussen has said, take advantage of this type of stuff. Be a part of your community and get connected. The cities are needing you to show up, so please do. Again, some kudos here from a lifelong resident, self-described lifelong resident of River Heights, emailing us. She says, the city has done an amazing job over the last couple of years of, in a challenging time, keeping a sense of community alive, from events like the recent Apple Days Festival to just how the city operates and functions. And Mayor Todd Rasmussen, our guest here again. Mayor Rasmussen, appreciate taking some time for KVNU today, and best of luck as things continue there.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time. And listeners, thank you for tuning in to the listener who emailed that idea in. Very much appreciate it. Others, please feel free to do so. If your city's doing something you think deserves some attention, we'd love to spotlight it. Email us at kvnuftp@gmail.com. One more time, thanks to Mayor Todd Rasmussen. And listeners, stay tuned. We'll be talking Utah Citizen Diplomacy with high school students, and a program you can sign up for. That's coming up at the start of Hour 2 of today's show, right after this, here on KVNU Logan.